Are you a Second Amendment brawler, or do you just slap a 3 sticker on your Tacoma and type "shall not be infringed" in all caps on Facebook threads and then call it a day? The fight for our rights requires constant, deliberate action, and we need pipe hitters out there putting in work every single day. Some of the folks who are most active in the fight can be found at the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which is an annual meeting hosted by the Second Amendment Foundation. Of course, I couldn't possibly record every speaker over 3 days of talks, but here are a few of the speakers that really stood out to me. I hope you enjoy it.
At the Gun Rights Policy Conference, bunch of freedom lovers. I say come in, you say take it. Come in, take it. Come in, take it. I say come in, you say take it. Come in, take it. Come in, take it. All right, way to go. So look, keeping with what I'm supposed to do, let's look at media perspective on some things. I'm just going to throw out five phrases they use quite often. The gun lobby, assault weapons ban, the Charleston loophole, the private gun sale loophole, the gun show loophole. Thinking about all this, you get it, they use these phrases because our establishment media, you got to use that word establishment media because Stephen is in the media, but he's not writing this garbage. I'm in the media, I'm not writing this garbage. So there are some media outlets that are outside what you would call establishment media, and that's important to keep in mind. But the establishment media uses these phrases, and the whole goal is slowly put a little shame on you. And slowly criticize things. Remember, it was the establishment media that gave us that terrifying phrase, full semi-automatic. Remember that? That scared me to death. I brought my AR in, I laid it on the bed, and we talked about it. I go, are you really full semi-automatic? This is scary, right? These people don't know what they're talking about. They don't care. Their goal is to scare you and to scare me, to shame Donald Trump, to shame Mitch McConnell, to shame Ted Cruz. We can keep going. It's not going to work with Cruz, but we know that, all right? We can keep going. Now, I want you to give some thought to this, to the terminology. Let's just think about the establishment media's use of the word gun lobby or the phrase gun lobby. Now what this means is, of course, the Second Amendment Foundation, the NRA, Gun Owners of America. I shouldn't list any gun groups because you can't list them all, but it means any gun group that you know of is part of the gun lobby. And instead of fighting for, see that's positive, instead of fighting for the Second Amendment, they present these groups as fighting against what? Kid safety, suicide reduction, school safety. All the while, these very same talking heads in established media are doing everything they can to make sure schools are a gun-free zone where teachers cannot conduct classroom defense. See, all the while, they're the culprits, but they're using these phrases to throw you off and put you on the defense, all right? I want you to think about this. The media paints a picture of defending the Second Amendment, not of defending, but of undercutting gun safety, all right? And they tar and feather Second Amendment groups as standing in the way, as I said. I want you to think about it. As standing in the way of keeping kids safe and of reducing suicide and all this. But if you'll think about it, none of their claims, none of their statements are congruent. That's very important. None of it goes together. And the attempt to smear pro-gun groups is particularly loathsome. Because what? I know I saw some people, I saw Lot outside, I don't know if he's in here, but you look at someone like Lot, he knows these numbers back and forth. You look at when our homicides went back up, I believe 2017 was the year. What drove those homicides up? Chicago, New Orleans, right? St. Louis. All these Democrat-controlled cities that are gun-controlled cities.
Morning, fellow terrorists. I'm presently Arizona Citizens Defense League. Do we have any AZCDO members in the audience? Yeah. What has changed? we had Colonel Dave Grossman down here last week talk about school safety, healthy students, and one of the things he points out is don't look for the same things all the time and expect things to change by changing the same things. Look for what has changed. So what has changed in our opponents? Money. Their ideas have not changed. They've had the same ideas for 50, 70, 100 years. Same thing over and over and over again. Register guns, take guns away, make people not be able to own guns. Same thing. We're not doing anything different. But now they have money. Give you a little perspective, okay? Most of us are of modest means. If we spent $40,000 on a car, get you a pretty nice car, but that's a big chunk of change. Mike Bloomberg is worth $40 billion. That's 1 million $40,000 cars. Just think about that for a minute. And he's got the money. Bezos has got the money. Bill Gates has got the money. George Soros has got the money to fund anything Moms Demand Action or March for Our Lives or Brady or whoever wants to do forever. That's what we're up against. So you need to think about that. These guys are organized, they're strong, and they're well funded.
I am Patricia Harold, and I am the president of the Nebraska Firearm Owners, and I am proud to be my first responder. It is an absolute honor to be standing in front of you today to let you know that I am not a traditional gun owner. I did not grow up feeling the need or having any interest in firearms. I escaped from California when I joined the military, and that has been a blessing. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is I want to look around this room and everyone take a look and see the diversity that we have in this organization and across all these different state coalitions and how important that diversity is, but we're missing something. How many of you are under 25? We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, 4, or sorry, you look really good. In Nebraska, we have a tagline called, it's Nebraska, we're not for everyone. And that's true. I don't mind being flyover country. I'm happy with all of you just staying out of my state. Driving through traffic in Arizona here is really an eye-opener. But going back to my point, if we don't enact work to raise the next generation of gun owners and freedom fighters, we will be the last generation to express these freedoms and rights.
Everything is about choice. And in this election cycle, we're having to choose between those who are going to shred our Constitution. And I'm not talking just about the Second Amendment. What are you personally doing to make sure that we don't give this election over to not just the left, but to the anti-gunners? Because quite frankly, we have some Republicans who are chickens. They face this pressure of doing something. Let's push some paper here. Let's say we're gonna suddenly fix the mass shooting crisis carried out by psychos who want to do nothing but harm others. But what they're doing is they're telling people like me who have been survivors of sexual assault that our rape whistle failed us once and it's okay if it fails us again. And I'm not okay with that.
65% of adults in the United States play video games. 60% of those are active in politics. And now half of those play games that revolve around firearms. They're called shooter games. So you do the math. 65% of adults, that's 160 million people. Half of them playing gun games, 80 million. And 60% of those are active voters, people who will decide this country's politics on guns, 48 million people. That's 48 million people that we have to reach out to that are going to help us change the attack on gun culture. They're going to let us expand our base, get younger, and just have more fun in doing it too. So for a lot of people, video games are their first and only interaction with firearms. It's our job to encourage that relationship. I mean, I personally enjoy guns and video games a lot more because I don't have to pay for ammunition. And the big thing is this, and I know Lara's going to talk about this, the Second Amendment does not and shouldn't be a partisan issue. It should not be down party lines when we go to Congress. It should not depend who is president to worry about if your gun rights are safe or not. And you have so many people playing video games using guns every day who are very diverse in who they vote for, but they have that connection with us. So in August, those people were told by politicians that they were part of something that was to blame for a violent act committed by one individual. They didn't agree. Does that sound familiar to any of us? So just like law-abiding gun owners were the target of similar blame, they're right to be upset. But the problem for gun culture is that instead of working with those people who we have so much common ground with, we ignore them. And now, unfortunately, a lot of them have been turning against guns. They get told video games are the problem, and they say, no, it's guns. But neither of those are true. And we can't afford to be losing more people. We have to grow this movement, we have to get younger. So now back to what 2A gaming is. So there's quite a few gamers who watch other people play games, and even get advice from them. It drives quite a bit of money in this country. It's a $43 billion industry. Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Mixer are the biggest platforms, and they are growing rapidly. Even TV networks are struggling to compete against them. And just so you guys know, you have Twitch, which is owned by Amazon. YouTube is owned by Google. Facebook is obviously Facebook, and Mixer is owned by Microsoft. You have some of the biggest tech companies that are becoming some of the biggest places for people to go to basically get information. So 2A Gaming is something we're going to be doing. We're going to be live streaming on Facebook while playing games and talking about Second Amendment issues. So current events, issues going on, laws, anything that we would need to reach out to people to get them involved in their community and active. So this project is hoping to start soon. We've been doing test streams, and surprisingly, and this has really blown me away, I have not had a single negative interaction with anybody that I've reached. I've even had other streamers, other partners in the industry wanting to help as soon as we go live. And what was really cool was last night I went to Best Buy because we had issues with the tech setup in here. And as I was browsing from what I needed to get, somebody noticed what I was looking at and asked if I streamed. I told him what I did, told him I explained what I was starting, and he was like, oh my god, I work security. I love what you guys are doing, this is so fantastic. And so seeing that in the real world, this project is going to help us get younger, it's going to grow, and we're going to have a lot more fun sharing why we like guns to everybody else. And we're going to help shift the culture of war so that we are not on the losing end. Thank you.
Culture drives politics. It's an important point. And I want to say something that I think many of us don't realize. We're winning. Okay, you can carry in DC, you can carry in Chicago. Every single open Court of Appeals seat has an appointee waiting to be confirmed. We're going to win. We're going to literally drive the Second Amendment to the 7 or 8 states that cannot accept it. Somebody said to me, because I'm an accused terrorist, I work in San Francisco, they're like, Boogaloo? I was like, no. The threat needs to be credible, and San Francisco Board of Supervisors are not credible. When Beto O'Rourke says, I'm coming to take it, you need to respond with unhappiness. But the truth is, he's the weirdo. This guy has decided that he does not want to be elected in Texas. And this is actually my core point. I want us to change the way we talk, the way we emote about what we're doing, okay? It is understandable how we got here. We took a right everyone understood to be fundamental, to not need to be protected. And in fact, for a good 180 years of our founding history, nobody had to protect it. Everybody else was thought to be a crank. And then all of a sudden we got under attack, and the other problem is we're all nerds. I'm sorry, but every single one of you knows the difference between 556 and 223. Okay? We nerds, we like to argue about the facts, and the thing is, we're right. Look, defensive gun use destroys any argument about taking guns away from all people. But that's not what the issue. The issue is emotional. And here's the thing. Because we've been under attack, because we've had to fight so hard over the last 40 years, we kind of act like we're the victim. We're not. We're the majority. I live in California. California is still the largest single market for guns in America. Okay? We're winning. So, who do you want to hang out with? The guy or the girl who sits there going, everybody's out to get me and I don't really like this? Or the one who's like, hey, Mr. Politician, dude, I'm sorry, but just because people don't answer the phone call about how many guns do you own from the government with I own them doesn't mean we don't all own them. We need to start behaving. We need to be the interesting and happy people in the room, telling them about, yeah, guns are cool. Like, being a gun owner means that, like, when an earthquake happens in California, I don't have to worry that the CHP doesn't come to my door. Right? And it's not because I'm worried about it, it's because, well, I also own a fire extinguisher. Right? It is time, especially in the moments of mass shooting, to be the people who are like, look, we can win on the facts, but the reality is you're sitting there talking about your neighbor. Just because you don't own a gun doesn't mean everyone beside you doesn't own a gun. In New York, in New Jersey, in Illinois, in California, in Hawaii. I mean, go to Chinatown in San Francisco and you will find every illegal gun probably also federally possibly found. That's the truth. And it is now time for us to use that truth to invite people to open up. Be the person willing to stand up at your office, at the fantasy football drinks, and say, yeah, I'm a gun owner, it's great. Well, what about these mass shootings? There are crazy motherfuckers out there. But I'm not one of them, and you aren't either. Well, maybe I am. But no, seriously, it is time for us to take the attitude of winners. We're about to actually sweep the board, act like it, invite people to talk to you because it is a good thing. It is a majority thing. It is apple pie in baseball. We gun owners. Thank you.
I also had the pleasure of speaking with a few of the attorneys who are out there in the trenches doing much of the real heavy lifting by drafting legislation and challenging existing laws in court.
Hi, Andrew here with Michael Taylor at the Gun Rights Policy Conference put on by the Second Amendment Foundation. Michael does a lot of advocacy for gun rights. He's one of the foot soldiers in there, getting out there talking to representatives, senators. Can you tell me some of what's on your agenda? What are your priorities for fighting for our gun rights right now?
Well, one thing we need to do is obviously defeat any incoming attempts at legislation, and the newest workaround they're using is using the various initiative processes that states have to take a direct vote of the citizenry and put things into the Constitution, therefore bypassing the normal legislative process.
What are you working on? What is the next what's the next push for our side?
There are a number of things that we can attack. Think about the interaction of Heller with the recent bump stock ban. DC versus Heller also provided what is currently being used in the circuits as the test for whether something is covered by the Second Amendment or not. And that
Militarily credible.
No, that would be Miller.
That was Miller.
This is not Heller.
In common use.
Right. So the common use for lawful purposes test. Think about it. If we end up agreeing that a bump stock is in and of itself, much like a shoelace, a machine gun, then at some point in the past few years, we had several million machine guns in lawful use, right?
Yeah.
In common use for a lawful purpose. And therefore, can you actually ban machine guns now?
What's up, party people? I'm here with Steven Stamboli. I have to stare at his name tag. Sorry, you got a weird name, bro.
I do, yep.
An ARFCOM member and a dirty, nasty lawyer.
That's me,
But
to a T.
how are we going to win the gunfight without lawyers? There was a song about that, send lawyers and guns.
Yeah, trying.
So we're here at the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and as all lawyer jokes aside, you guys are the ones that are going to win or lose this for us. So what are you working on right now? What is your primary goal in advancing gun rights right now?
So the primary goal is obviously winning winnable cases, and I know that sounds a little too simplistic, but we have focused on a number of low-hanging fruit, such as tasers and stun guns, like electric arms. After the 2016 opinion from the Supreme Court in Saitano, that it didn't hold that stun guns were protected under the Second Amendment, but it was a per curiam opinion where the entire court rejected the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts ruling that stun guns weren't protected.
So they are not protected.
Right.
So like major win.
So, well, it's a good win. It's a good win because they didn't say that, you know, that we're going to uphold what the Massachusetts.
It's a building block.
Right. Exactly.
That
Exactly. And so that's what we did. And so the first case we filed was in New Jersey in 2000 or late 2016 or early 2017. I get my dates confused. New Jersey asked for an extension. They asked for another extension. You know, this is just to answer the complaint.
When my dates get confused.
Yeah, well, it happens. And then they just folded, and they said, we agree that our stun gun ban is unconstitutional. You know, after our win in New York, before our win in New York, we filed another stun gun challenge in Hawaii. And so we've got that case currently pending before the Hawaii District Court and federal court. And we feel pretty confident about that now that we have, you know, at least 4 courts that have decided that stun guns are protected. You know, low-hanging fruit, again, incrementalism.
Those decisions about stun guns eventually will dovetail with decisions about bearing arms in general, right?
Absolutely, because
if a stun gun is a weapon, and if you can carry a stun gun, then you must be able to carry other weapons.
You have to be able to carry other weapons. And, you know, like Scalia said in Heller, the Second Amendment extends prima facie to all instruments that constitute bearable arms. So, you asked basically what we're doing to win the Second Amendment fight. We filed a baton case in California because California bans batons. Like, you can't
Expandable asps.
Yeah, like expandable asps, or just literally like
a stick.
Exactly. Like
So a stick is illegal in California.
a stick on a tree is probably not illegal.
If I had a walking cane and I was attacked and I hit somebody with my cane, that now becomes a baton, which is illegal?
Arguably, you would run into a situation where you have now broken a weapons law by using your walking stick as a billy or as a baton. You know, they're called billies in California.
That's preposterous.
It is.
So you worked to get that law repealed?
What we're doing is we're suing the state of California to find that law unconstitutional. And we're like I said earlier, we're doing this incrementally. You know, like the left has used the courts so effectively, the right has not taken the same approach. You know, we go for all out. We want everything, and we want it right now. And the left,
repeal the NFA.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've already tried that, and you know, I lost that case in Texas. You know, where I went after the NFA and 922.0 and the Hughes Amendment. You know, I went after both of them in one case, and I felt justified in doing so. And that's ultimately my goal.
Well, guys, thanks for watching. I sincerely hope that this video inspired you to get out there and act in the fight for gun rights. My dad was a commercial fisherman in Oregon, and he used to say, "Rust never sleeps." Well, authoritarian control freaks never sleep either. We cannot afford to blink even for a moment. Get off the bench, get in the game, folks. If you have any questions on the most effective ways to fight, leave a comment below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and engage with gun-related content on YouTube in any way you can. You know that YouTube is trying to suppress us, but your engagement and support is what keeps this channel going. Another way you can help and trigger an authoritarian control freak at the same time is by purchasing some of these fly shirts on our Teespring store. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.